What's up, guys? It is AU5, and today I am here with Prismatic in the studio. We are going to be doing a walkthrough of our song Quantum Level that we just released on Monster Cat.
Quantum Level.
I've heard more bass on a Celine Dion a cappella track.
We have a free sample pack, as always, in the description that you can download. I also have the Alien Weapon walkthrough course that I did in collaboration with Doll Nation. If you like this kind of tutorial content, it's like this, much more in depth. You also get options for the project file and a sample pack.
I also offer one-on-one music production classes, feedback sessions, as well as track walkthroughs where I can walk you through my projects, as well as essentially giving you your own personal live stream of me making a track.
Our prices have never been lower.
Son, you have to talk louder.
Never been lower.
Louder, son!
Our prices have never been lower!
Okay, stop, that is totally inappropriate.
I have over 10 years in music production education in the form of private lessons, courses, and I also taught at a nonprofit for several years.
Let's get into the Quantum Level walkthrough. This thing here, we got 3 layers going on.
Pulsating sub bass on like the downbeat. Guys like Sudden Death and Murata, I think we were kind of shooting for that groove with the unhinged, unquantized rhythm. And I think in particular, what I really like about that sub bass is how it kind of has like that vocaliness to it. That's so dope. It adds so much character to it. It's not just the sub bass.
Cool. So yeah, it looks like we did this with Vital. That's what it sounds like straight out of Vital.
I think you did something with the filtering, because I remember we were working on this sound. Originally, we were trying to do a sub bass, but then you just tweaked the filter resonance and it did the kind of sound to it.
It's like a soft square wave, a little bit of white noise, and then I had this filter. Let's throw the distortion on. This is what it sounds like without the filter. And this filter, it's this really strong peak. And then I took LFO1 and set it to key track mode. What that does is it makes the LFO oscillate at the rate of whatever note that you're playing. We're basically doing filter FM by slightly modulating the cutoff of this. Gives that like nice screamy buzziness. And there's also some stereo offset. Just a little spectral delay to smooth out the top. And then the top layer, actually a cowbell. These are just sustained notes. It's just a cowbell in a sampler that sounds like... So how I'm adjusting the rate is by using an automation on the arpeggiator rate. So we can change the speed of it without having to like put in the MIDI notes. And that just makes it really easy to find cool, unquantized grooves. How we pitch it up is with the shifter. That's right. Yep, frequency shift mode, and the coarse tuning is mapped to the same macro as the arpeggiator's rate. All of this other stuff over here is just kind of like making it sound a little louder, and a little more mixed. These 3 things, so hybrid reverb, the shifter, the arpeggiator on just the simple cowbell sample, that is what the main meat of the sound really is. You got some OTT on it, a little bit of disperser, volume, and then multi-band saturation. So the combination of those sounds, and then we have this little extra layer here, which is just to give it a little bit of high-end texture. It's the same arpeggiator rack as that, except I am using Vital.
Just a little sine wave with some noise. We have a layer in this that's that like laser that's hitting on every downbeat too, right?
We do have that, this thing.
This specific layer, it's in all the drops. I think for me, it adds a lot of downbeat emphasis. When you're doing weird, wonky, unquantized rhythms, having that consistent downbeat hit is really important. It allows the listener to always have something they know they can latch on to, you know?
It's consistent and solid. It really emphasizes that groove amidst chaos happening.
If people want to do something like this with weird rhythms, you got to have a simple sound in the background they can follow to, and also simple percussion too. I think for this, we don't really have much percussion going on during this part. Like we just have like a cymbal crash, right? Yeah, not much going on.
It's just a crash.
This is a patch of mine from one of my unreleased tracks. Looks like you added your cowbell sound in with it. Let's see what the first layer sounds like. You can see there's some corpus on there, some compressed room reverb. It sounds really good on stabs. It gives it that sort of right amount of metallic-y room sound to it.
Let's bypass all the post effects and see what it sounds like just out of Vital.
Let's put just the corpus back on. Interesting.
That brings the tone back.
With the disperser, I feel like the disperser too.
It gives it that yuck.
Yeah, the yuck sound.
Check out this compressed room.
It's almost kind of like the Serum reverb filter, but as a post-processing, you know?
Low decay time, pretty small size, and then compression after that. It's very much like metallic-y room reverb. High pass, saturator, EQ to kind of correct the stereo.
What I like to do is bring bass sound one-shots in from sample packs and use them as wavetables. And I think I pulled this from this guy Zeta, great producer. Y'all should check him out. And I think I vocoded it, did some bend. And as far as it looks like there's one main LFO kind of doing a bunch of stuff. We got some high pass filtering going on. And then I feel like the effects tab is probably, not much. There's a phaser, it's frozen, a little distortion, a little compression.
The main sound really is from the corpus.
Let's see what the cowbell sounds like on there.
Interesting percussion, kind of similar to the other cowbell sound, but we got the shifter and erosion. Let's bypass all that. Let's see what just the cowbell sounds like. The arpeggiator, I have it set to repeats 1. And basically what that does, every note that's played, it will play an octave above that after it. So like, and then we got the shifter, which is pitching it down. Erosion. Oh,
that's giving it some nice crunch. That hybrid reverb, it's really nice.
This is sound designing outside of the synth. That's what I love about Ableton. It's like you're kind of building your own bigger synth, all these different effects and modulations. This is something that I made from a bass jam. I think that was with M Spectral Delay. So this is Dune. It's playing this chord, which is a minor 11th chord, but the effects on this, it's this plugins from this Spectral Suite bundle. But basically, this is what it sounded like before. Kind of just like a really airy, bright supersaw with Dune, using the swarm mode and the nonlinear detune mode. Just a little bit of multiband compression and EQ. This spectral gate thing is really cool because you can basically cut out frequencies that are quiet below a cutoff threshold.
It sounds like 2004, like MP3 compression, LimeWire days.
You can even see in the spectrum here, only the loudest come through. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Oh yeah.
Just a Reese sound that I made a bit ago. It's just like the pitch movement and like the detune that's going on. There is this double notch filter. Massive had this filter called the double notch filter.
Yeah.
I figured out how to pretty much recreate that using a couple EQ3s in parallel with a dry chain, and it kind of creates this phaser effect. Basically, combining the dry signal with the EQ3 signal, it creates these notches that sound very much like the massive double notch filter. This color-based stuff's here. These are a bunch of samples that I kind of just layered from bass jams. This sound, I'm using Spectral Morph. It sounds like this without it. Just kind of like a zappy bass. I also have a couple other chains going on. Oh, I'm using the Spectral Resonator. So how I'm doing this, I'm using Morph, and I am morphing that with these chords up here. And it sounds very similar. It's like almost like a vocoder, but it gives it like the tone of the chords and kind of the articulation of the bass. I wanted this section to be pretty stabby. There's basically just some transients here. This serum.
It's a sine wave that's low passed.
Yeah,
some distortion.
And distort a little bit for the sub. This little chiptune layer, which is... It's actually a snare that's just being arpeggiated really quickly. So that's one way to do chiptune stuff. That isn't just like square waves. Use snares.
A lot of color-based stuff. I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of it feels very powered by specific plugins like pitch map and resonator, and also, you know, vocodery stuff. All that stuff's great. I love Resonator. It's a great plugin, but this has a unique sound to it because it has that sort of granular texture to it. This melody, I remember I wrote this. I was specifically trying to make a melody that sounded like something you would do. And I was like, I really want Austin to like this melody. I can't blow this. So I made this. With this section, it worked out better than I could have imagined. And you had like another variation of the melody, I think, in the beginning too.
Yeah, this part. Something to just establish this new big drop and then bringing this melody back.
Exactly.
Which is what was introduced here. All right, so for the last drop, we got some cool sounds in here. This thing at the turnaround.
Little vital, screechy sustain guy. For this sound, it's 2 wavetables. It's double Bowie. I guess that's like one of the stock Vital tables that it came with. It's got vocoder on it, turned up all the way, and it looks like we got some very, very minor FM coming from Oscillator 2 with the sine wave. For effects, we got a compressor, a flanger, a frozen flanger, something I don't usually do. That's very, very interesting. And then it's just pitching up like 2 semitones. It's a pretty like basic sound. It's a good turnaround sound.
So let's start turning these on.
Little compression. That's really subtle.
Disperser. We got a Serum Effects on here, doing a little bit of reverb filter.
Reverb filter. Also kind of smoothing it out a little bit. It's subtle. I think I did that because I think there's a separate sub bass in this. Yeah, up there. I had a separate sub bass.
And then the reverb washback. Just really, with the automation right here. Yeah, it like really spreads it out. This yoink here. There's a couple layers going on, but the main sound here is this yoink. And this is a sound that I made in Alien Weapon. It hasn't changed too much. It's mainly Serum. There is some post-processing going on with the Ultra Hyper, which I'll show how that works in a bit. But here's how it sounds without any other effects. We also have a bunch of effects in here. If I bypass these real quick, you'll hear that it's pretty harsh. It's basically just FM from B. The pitch is going like that, modulating the coarse pitch, and then FM from B with the same LFO, giving it a little bit more of an atonal metallic sound. The band reject is kind of giving it the yeah. It's pretty subtle.
What's going on with the coarse pitch? I see you have some coarse pitch automate. Is that what that is, right?
That's the LFO, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I had all these on. So the hyper dimension, it's detuning it a lot. Some phaser. The flanger filter, EQ, and then I guess just distorting it, multiband compression. Oh, I'm also modulating the top band of this.
Oh, interesting.
Which you can do by...
in the matrix.
Yeah, go comp MBH. So that's that part, but then we have more. This next thing is what I call the Ultra Hyper Reshifter. It's stacking a bunch of hyper dimensions in Serum Effects together. Essentially, you could do this very similar thing if you just take a bunch of chorus effects and just stack them in series. It goes from dry to like this like... And then to top that all off, I use delay with the 16th note delay. And then top it off the glue compressor. It's not really doing much, but yeah, that's basically the yoink there. We rendered that out as audio.
I did a little transposition kind of thing. Oh, we got a kilohertz resonator on it.
We got a couple dispersers.
Saturator. A corpus.
Corpus. It sounds like with all this stuff off.
Yeah.
This is what the original Vital sound.
So I like to do a little low pass filter automation sometimes on some of my sounds because I feel like it kind of tightens it up and gets rid of some of the nasty feedback that you hear. So for this coleslaw bites, I think that's another stock Vital wavetable. Time skew I'm using. Oh, yeah. Interesting. I don't use it that much. That sounds cool, and it looks like it's adding a lot.
You can do a lot with time skew.
I love the sound of like a static phaser. It's just really nice. I don't like an LFO-y phaser. It sounds so corny to me. Same with like an LFO flanger. The sound of it is really corny, but when you freeze them, I don't know. It's something special and something that I'm personally a really big fan of.
Yeah, almost when you freeze it, you almost don't hear that it's a phaser.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It colors the sound in a really interesting, particular way. Without it,
yeah,
it gives it that stereo movement and
squelchiness too.
Yeah, everything bypassed. That's just the coleslaw bites and the time skew.
Very muffled sounding, yeah. You need to find that sweet spot, you know? That one thing where you're just like, that's it. And I feel like a lot of sound design, there's really no secret behind it. You just gotta tweak it until it sounds cool, mess around with it until you like it, you know?
That's pretty much how I learned how to do sound design. It's just
me too.
Experimenting.
Me too.
Like loading up presets, reverse engineering stuff. And
I agree. I feel like presets are really good for that. I don't knock presets because I feel like you can learn a lot from presets, and I recommend that to people that I teach. I'm like, if you want to learn more about sound design, download a bunch of presets from your favorite producers and just like reverse engineer them or like tweak them. That way you'll learn how to make some of your favorite sounds and you'll figure out how to put unique spins on them.
Yeah,
you know?
Find the sounds that you gravitate towards as a listener, reverse engineer them, experiment, and you end up learning how they work from your own perspective, like in your own way. If you like tutorial content like this, don't forget to check out the Alien Weapon walkthrough in the description. I go over the whole song, Alien Weapon, much more in depth. You can get the project file and the sample pack as well. Don't forget to check out the free downloads.
Make sure to hit me up if you want one-on-one music lessons, personalized live stream track walkthroughs, and feedback sessions.
Hope you guys like this tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed it and want to see more stuff like this. Feel free to let me know what other kind of content you want to see on my channel, and I'll see you next time. Peace.